Hey everybody, Craig Lucie here with Lucie Content, and joining me for the inaugural, the story behind the story, let's call this the video podcast, is my good friend Scott Walker of Scott Walker Media. Scott, so this morning I'm on my feed and I see the original Leprechaun story out of Mobile, Alabama. And for those that don't know, Scott Walker was the anchor introducing this awesome story. So take a look at that quick clip.
Well, just in time for St. Patrick's Day, crowds are coming by the dozens to get an up-close view at what some say is a piece of Irish folklore.
Some people in the Crichton area of Mobile say a leprechaun is taking up residence in their neighborhood. A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
Curiosity leads to large crowds in Mobile's Crichton community, many of you bringing binoculars, camcorders, even camera phones to take pictures.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All you gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah? Yeah!
Coming out of that clip, Scott, walk us through how this all came about.
Get that question quite often, Craig. Good to see you. It's funny where life takes both of us. Yeah. Here we are. It was covered as a news story at first. People always say, was that really a news story? Did you all really cover that as a news story? Because that on the surface would be a little bit hard to believe. That was covered by a TV station as a news story. What happened was there was a neighborhood, this neighborhood where it happened, where we got calls about police activity, streets were blocked. So the assignment manager at the TV station just sent out a crew to check out what was going on because there were a lot of calls about traffic being at a standstill.
Eyewitnesses say the leprechaun only comes out at night. If you shine a light in its direction, it suddenly disappears. This amateur sketch resembles what many of you say the leprechaun looks like. Others find it hard to believe and have come up with their own theories and explanations for the image.
So the crew gets out there and one thing leads to another. There's a leprechaun in a tree. The people there sort of took over and told their story, and it snowballed from there.
Okay, how were you able to keep a straight face during that story?
Well, it's funny because I talked to somebody a little while ago that said you'd obviously seen what that was going to be. So what did you think when you saw that? I said, well, I hadn't seen it before it aired because the original story actually aired the night before on a newscast that included the live shots with the reporter who did the story. So in the version we did the next morning on our morning show, I had not seen it because I missed it the night before, and the reporter's live shots weren't in it. So the person who did the story is never seen, and the reactions that you get from us are real. So when I'm introing that story on TV and say, a leprechaun
is taking up residence in their neighborhood. A leprechaun. NBC 15's Brian Johnson has more.
And I ad-libbed the second, a leprechaun, that's like genuine because I'm reading the script and I'm like, what is this that we're about to get into? And then you see the video and you see everything that happens, and the reactions that you see on the other end are real because that was the first time we saw it. We come out of that story wondering, what did we just watch? What was that? And the amateur sketch, what was that?
Well, you had a comment about the amateur sketch too, saying that was your favorite part.
Yeah, I think I said, what, did Brian, the reporter, draw that when he was out there? Where'd that come from? And months later, or maybe it was years later, I don't even remember, that amateur sketch was auctioned off to an organization. I believe, I could be wrong about this, but if I remember correctly, it was NBC News Channel, the satellite affiliate for NBC, that bought it and donated it to a charitable organization, bought it for like $1,000. So the original is out there somewhere. I don't know where it is, but somebody has it somewhere on a wall, I think.
The original is on your socks too, right?
I am wearing the leprechaun socks today because of course I would, right? With the amateur sketch on the socks.
I love it. Okay, so the dialogue in the story.
We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Yeah, it's still on there, guy. Don't be afraid.
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead.
Could be a crackhead. We're going to get to the bottom of this. The other guy says this is a leprechaun flute. I'm gonna help out. What do you think about the dialogue in this story?
It's priceless. I mean, that's what made the story, is that everybody in this neighborhood latched onto it and played along and made it what it is. And they just, the guy with the flute that was thousands of years old from his great-great-grandfather, it makes no sense at all, but it's funny. And the guy who starts the thing with who all seen the leprechaun say, yeah, I mean, that's the iconic moment in that story where, who all seen the Leprechaun? Say, yeah. And he turns around and everybody behind him starts cheering. and I think at that moment, we didn't know what we were in the midst of, because it was at the beginning of YouTube. There were no viral videos yet. That was, if you would have told me 15 years later, we'd still be talking about this and it would be more popular than it's ever been, I would have said, you're crazy. Why? Because there was no reason for us to believe that day that we'd see it again after that day. Like, that should have been it. But for some reason, the YouTubers grabbed that one that was the day after the original airing, put it on YouTube, and 28 million views later, it's moving along. And look, I always tell people, there are so many videos that have so many more views now that go viral and get that in a couple of days. But this is 15 years of staying power. It's a YouTube original, and it's one that I think is just, because it revolves around a holiday, it's just ingrained in the hearts and minds of people at St. Patrick's Day, and it just always comes back.
Unbelievable. And I love the line about the guy. He said, I want the gold. I want the gold. It became a gold song.
I want to know what a gold is. I want the gold.
You jammed out to the songs from the Leprechaun story?
Oh, have you seen the remixes?
I want to know what a gold is. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want to run the backhoe over that tree. I want the gold.
Oh, I love it.
I mean, if you Google Mobile Leprechaun or Crichton Leprechaun, there are remixes. There's me on a desk playing a guitar. I forgot the guys' names. It's the group that did all those videos several years ago that just sort of were takeoffs on actual videos. And they did videos. Other people did videos. People did their own leprechaun hunts where they were walking streets, looking at trees for leprechauns. I mean, if it makes people smile on St. Patrick's Day, I always say it or whenever, I always say it could be a lot worse. I could be immortalized on YouTube for something terrible. And this is just fun. It's ridiculous. I think it makes people laugh. The neighbors in Mobile or in the Crichton area played along with the story. I think they've enjoyed it over the years just as much as anybody else. And every year I usually get a call from somebody who's looking to track down people from that story. I'm like, I have no idea where they are. I wouldn't be able to give you the first inkling of where to find them. But if you go to that neighborhood, you may be able to just track them down by asking a few people.
And so what is your St. Patrick's Day like? What has today been like with your phone and people pinging you?
I mean, text, tagged in videos, tagged in tweets, tagged on Instagram, just people seeing it, sending it and saying, haha, look what I saw today again. And then the people who see me in it today and realize, oh, that's Scott. I've heard from 3 or 4 people today who literally 3 or 4 people before, noon today who said, that's you in that video. I've watched that for so many years. And then I finally realized today it's you in that video.
Final thoughts about the Leprechaun story.
I want the gold. I want to find where the gold at, right? That's all everybody wants. Just
cue the
know
music,
what gold
baby.
At.
Cue the music.
We want to know what gold at, Greg.
Scott Walker, thank you so much. Scott Walker Media joining us, giving us the story behind the story. I love it. Where can they find you online, buddy?
ScottWalkerMedia.com, Scott Walker 6 on Twitter, Scott Walker 504 on Instagram, and what else? That's it.
That's it.
Find me wherever. Google it. You'll find the Leprechaun associated with my name. It'll be there.
All right, buddy. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Greg.
I want the gold. I want the gold. I want the gold. Give me the gold. I want the gold. I want